High Commander Voss watched the bridge of the Sovereign dissolve into a frantic sea of crimson alerts. Below, the primitive world of Sol 3 didn't burn. It shrieked. A blinding, synchronized pulse erupted from every screen and satellite across the globe, a scream of data that froze his fleet mid-orbit. The truth is a heavy thing, and I've seen it crush more empires than any railgun ever could. If you want to see how this cosmic house of cards falls, subscribe and stay for the reckoning. Now let's look at the quiet before the signal. 2 hours earlier, Voss had been focused on the stale taste of nutrient paste on his tongue. It was a mundane irritant, a small bitterness to match the boredom of a routine annexation. The Obsidian Concord had labeled the Terrans a footnote, a resource-rich rock inhabited by creatures who still burned fossil fuels and fought over borders. Elder Seer Orizon had paced the war room, her bioluminescent skin dimming in a display of unease as she spoke of quantum signatures she couldn't identify, but the council had laughed. To Voss, it was just another day of bringing order to the fringe. The descent into the gravity well was smooth until it wasn't. The POV anchor, a young tactical analyst named Xylas, watched the sensor arrays with growing confusion. A strange, unidentified glitch flickered at the edge of the readout, a jagged geometric pattern that refused to be scrubbed. On the surface, Alara Vance felt the vibration in the soles of her boots before the sirens even started. She was a systems architect used to the hum of servers, but this was different. This was the Earth itself waking up. Within minutes, men in suits she didn't recognize were ushering her into a subterranean bunker that smelled of ozone and ancient dust. As the elevator descended deep into the crust, Alara saw the architecture shift. The concrete gave way to shimmering, non-terrestrial alloys. A man with graying hair and eyes that had seen too many secrets turned to her. He explained that the keepers of Ashar hadn't left humanity to rot. They had been here for 40 years, weaving a ghost layer into the world's infrastructure. They hadn't given humanity lasers to fight a war they couldn't win. They had turned the planet into a mirror. Xylas watched from the Sovereign's bridge as the Terran defense grid didn't just activate, it evolved. The glitch on his monitor was no longer a flicker. It was a heartbeat. He saw High Commander Voss grip the command rail so hard his knuckles turned a deathly pale. Whatever is about to happen, it's going to change the map of the stars forever. Subscribe to witness the broadcast that shatters the Concord's grip. We're moving into the final transmission now. Voss signaled the fleet to prepare the glassing beams, his jaw set in a mask of cold authority. He gave the order to purge the world. But as the Sovereign's primary weapon began its terminal hum, Alara Vance reached for a single, glowing terminal in the bunker below. She didn't look for a trigger. She looked for a broadcast switch. Xylas watched the High Commander's finger hover over the ignition sequence. The bridge was thick with the smell of static and the low, rhythmic thrum of the Sovereign's core drawing power from the stars. It was a sound of absolute finality, the prelude to a world's erasure. And then the screen didn't just flicker, it bled. The jagged geometric glitch Xylas had been tracking suddenly expanded, consuming the tactical overlays. It wasn't an attack on their shields. It was an invasion of their narrative. Across the bridge, every terminal began scrolling at light speed, not in Terran code, but in the Concord's own encrypted military dialect. 16 warships capable of cracking moons, halted by a single radio frequency. It's a terrifying thing to realize your armor is made of glass. If you want to be there for the next time the underdog bites back, subscribe and join the assembly. Let's see what the truth did to the Empire. The transition was instantaneous. The Sovereign didn't fire. It recoiled. Xylas stared as the data pulse hitting the fleet transformed into a panoramic display of horrors. He saw the suppressed records of the Garvi invasion, the chemical purges of the fringe moons, and the secret ledgers of the Obsidian Council. It wasn't just on his screen. Every ship in the fleet, every colony in the sector, and every citizen on the Concord homeworld was seeing the same thing. The broadcast held the Keeper's Authenticator, a digital signature so ancient and respected that it bypassed every firewall in the galaxy. Xylas looked at Voss. The High Commander's face was no longer a mask of command. It was a hollowed-out ruin. On the long-range comms, the first reports of mutiny began to flood in. Entire battalions were laying down their arms as they realized the order they had been fighting for was built on a foundation of mass graves. Below them, the primitive planet grew brighter. A network of hidden defense satellites, draped in the same gold-shifting tech as the bunker, drifted out from behind the moon. They didn't fire. They simply stood watch, cold and impenetrable. The Sovereign turned. It didn't retreat with the grace of a flagship. It fled like a wounded animal, its crew more afraid of the truth in their heads than the weapons on the planet below. Xylas watched the sensor glitch one last time before the jump drive engaged. It had smoothed out now, forming a perfect, shimmering gold emblem that looked less like a weapon and more like an invitation. Back on the surface, Alara Vance stepped out of the bunker and into the cool night air. The sky wasn't filled with fire, but with the fading streaks of an empire in retreat. She looked down at the handheld terminal she still carried, the device that had once shown only a terrifying glitch. Now it displayed a steady, golden light. The Keepers didn't give us weapons. They gave us the truth, and we made it loud enough to shatter empires. The terminal in her hand felt light now, the burden of the secret finally shared with the stars. Above her, the golden emblem of the new assembly began to glow in the upper atmosphere. A new star for a world that had finally found its voice. Alara tucked the device into her pocket and looked toward the horizon where the first dawn of a liberated galaxy was breaking. The golden light of the assembly now shines over a world that was never truly alone. Do you believe a single truth can really topple a tyrant? Subscribe to catch our next chronicle tomorrow.